YouTube, it's Tone, back with another one for you. Now this one here is cracking the code, number 3. What do you call it? The 15th video of this particular book. Move on to something after we're done with this. But when we get to the bottom of this book, it shows you how to do everything, the UCC 1 and all that shit. A lot of really good information in this. If you need it, send me an email. Shit's on the house. So now we're going to talk about the privatization of the free delivery mail system. So let's get right into this. All right, so privatization of the free delivery of mail. So the Postal Reorganization Act of August 12, 1970, Public Law 91-375, abolished the United States Post Office Department and transferred all personnel into the private United States Postal Service. So there's two different entities, excuse me, that operate within that one building. So you get the USPS, and then you get the Postal Office, or the Post Office, which apparently are two different things. One would be the private side of it, because there's two sides to everything. Just like the national debt, you got the public debt, and then you got the private side, which is payable, which is literally payable to all the fucking American people on the private side. So they show you a public debt and wave it around, but in all reality, you should be able to leverage that shit and fucking pay everybody out and just pay everybody out. So on the private side. So anyway, so the two sides to everything, right? So anyway, which was reorganized a year later, whereas the former Post Office Department was an executive department of government. The Postal Service is a semi-autonomous operation independent of Congress, operating under the executive branch. United States Postal Service, the world's biggest employer, is a private corporation. The new postal rates go into effect this Sunday. So this was done in 1999. This is a book here, I guess. So the Postal Service handles roughly 500 million pieces of mail every day, delivering bills from IRS debt collectors and slave of state corporations, and payments from credit-starved customers, all for free, right? And that's quote unquote all for free. So without this facility, the wheels of commerce would turn much slower, as much as 95% slower, with far less tax generated and collected and far fewer defaults and foreclosures, thereby defeating the purpose of the credit-based economy foisted upon us by the chosen masters. You want to be real, rip your fucking mailbox off your house. You don't you don't fucking have to accept that, and you don't have to accept their presentments and their offers or any of that. So where I'm at here in the private farm, we don't have a mailbox. We use a private mailbox. We didn't even get a regular PO box because they were asking for social security numbers to get a fucking post office box. Bro, for what? The fuck, you always trying to make something commercial, you know what I'm saying? So we went and got a private mailbox, and that's what we use. Sometimes I have shit sent over to like one of my other family members' houses or whatever, but not to this particular piece of property. It's just not possible. We don't have a mailbox. So USPS, like the Post Office Department before, bears no obligation for delivery of mail, a free service since 1863 and still openly advertised as such. Operation of the general delivery window is a common law right, delivery of mail into P.O. boxes and mailboxes, constitutes free delivery and is a USPS function. Postage fees cover the transit of mail matter only as far as the destination of the post office, where postal patrons can legally retrieve mail independently at the general delivery window under the common law. Right? So that's what they tell you. They tell you that you can what do you call it? You can go ahead and go pick it up, because that would be free, right? So somebody pays to have it sent over to the post office, and you should be able to go pick it up. But they only give you a 30-day limit on getting that done, when it's supposed to be a service that's on demand, and they're supposed to honor that, right? So, but the double talk in this legislation, you're going to see exactly how it was that they were able to do that. So right here you got applicants may receive indefinite general delivery service as provided in Domestic Mail Manual DMM D930, also Postal Bulletin 21870, 62394, page 7. No, the 30-day limit right? So they're going to tell you that you may receive indefinite general delivery service. Then they want to throw a note in. The 30-day limit in DMM 930 refers to how long mail it is usually held in the general delivery section, not how long a person can receive general delivery service, right? So they're going to take this information and misconstrue it on purpose in order to make you think that you can only do that shit for 30 days, when in all reality, it only makes reference to how long that they are supposed to hold a particular piece of mail for you, not how long you're able to receive the service. So they like to twist words around and shit. So the use of general delivery should be discouraged if it is possible to receive mail otherwise. But if a patron insists on receiving his or her mail through the general delivery, the request must be complied with. So you see what that is, and it all comes down to how you put your address down. Because you put your address, go down, look in the community section at all the different documentation and all that, and that's where you're gonna see how to get your parcels delivered through general delivery there. So, intent behind free delivery of mail. As proclaimed by Congressman Clyde Kelly, Post Office and Post Roads Committee member and the United States Postal Policy, discussing the subject of the Great Postal Highway, post roads for the free delivery of mail. Every American is the beneficiary of this postal highway and of those leaders who insisted upon it being built on the service foundation. Its very existence is proof that the true objective of the post office is service, not money making. So there was never any other motive than the public welfare behind the establishment of the rural free delivery, right? So so that's how it's going to be listed: rural free delivery, right? So the one test in changes in routes. Will the service be as good or better than formerly? The test of self-support should not determine the future of this facility, which brings the benefit of every citizen of the United States, whether he lives in the city or the country. Underline the bold emphasis added here. So a more accurate version of the first sentence above: those leaders who insisted upon its being built on the free service foundation, the cost of the postal highway was a loss leader for Lincoln, a giveaway that secured an infinitely greater bounty, unwitting sureties for co-debtor, all caps trade names, citizen of the United States, because the sovereign Americans also benefit from the mail that is delivered free of charge in the all caps trade name of their citizen of the United States strawman. The sovereign Americans are doubly hooked in. So what they're saying is that essentially they built them roads to bait and tackle more people into their systems and becoming a beneficiary of a fucking benefit. So you see what it is. No, we want them all to get it for free, but we're gonna go ahead and build roads out to the middle of hell for nothing else, to suck them in. So military aspects of the postal system, USPS, as a semi-autonomous operation free of congressional oversight with a stated mission, military objective under the president and commander-in-chief of the current military regime, is a de facto military unit. Throughout history, the postal system has performed numerous military and quasi-military functions. I'm not gonna front. I mean, I'm on the fence with everything as far as what the postal service does. Sometimes they pull through, sometimes they don't. What are you gonna do? But for the most part, I think a lot of them don't even really know what's going on, because I've been in the post office and asked them if they knew that there was two different post offices in there, and they're like, no. These are people who work there. So they compartmentalize a lot of these people and these agencies and things like that. A lot of these people are fucking clueless, and they're just working there just to get a paycheck. You know what I'm saying? So they're not all bad necessarily, but I think that the intent behind this operation, I think, was a little more devious or with a alternative. The intentions were not what they made them out to be. We'll put it like that, since I can't find the words I'm looking for. So, and we'll get into the next slide here. So, during World War I, the post office was called upon to perform a bewildering number of non-postal functions. The postal establishment sold Liberty bonds and war-saving certificates. Post office registered enemy aliens. They handled without charge millions of tons of government mail, such as draft questionnaires and appeals for food conservation. The money order system, authorized by the Act of May 17, 1864, was a wartime measure that achieved permanent acceptance. the the Post Office Department by Gerald Cullen. Apparently that's in that book there. So postal clerks, now identified as sales associates on their name tags, are authorized to accept and process passport applications beginning in 1971, immediately after conversion into the private USPS for the U.S. Department of State, headed by the U.S. Secretary of State, who administered the war powers. Passport is defined as a license issued during the progress of war, authorizing a person to remove himself or his effects from the territory of one of the belligerent nations to another country, or to travel from country to country without arrest or detention on account of the war. A license. Okay, a license. So what's the issue with using your passport to travel if you're not operating in commerce, if you have a license here, even though it's a commercial thing in general? So come on, cut it the fuck out. So selective service registrants filing out the selective service system registration form, SSS form 1, October 91, are directed as follows. Block 8. When you have completed your form to this point, recheck it and take it to the postal clerk for verification, then sign and date it in the presence of a postal clerk. Underline emphasis added. Selective service. So in 1931, when, and I mean nothing against the military and shit, but they, the guys that are really putting in the work, you're not really going to be seeing these people. You know what I mean? I don't know. So when Congressman Clyde Kelly introduced United States postal policy referenced above, the Army and Navy, Marine Corps is a branch of the Navy, comprised the totality of the armed forces of the country. Despite the enormity of this fact, Kelly, in describing the value of the postal highway, proclaimed, "It is the highway of service designed by a democracy with faith for a social institution of vital importance in a people's nation. It is more essential for the protection of the nation than the Army or the Navy. It is the democratic instruments of a democracy." Underline emphasis added. By virtue of the postal highway, all American citizens, a much greater number than total enlisted in the Army and Navy, became accountable, responsible for the United States, Inc. Indeed, once one accepts free delivery of mail intended for his citizen of the United States strawman, she incurs an obligation for military service. Oh, really? So they send you mail to your house, you're automatically on the hook for the military service as a co-beneficiary surety for the person whose trade name appears on the draft notice. Another obvious discrepancy in Kelly's postal policy is that the fact that the de jure United States of America is not a democracy but a republic, guaranteed in Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution. So, you see what it is like, and you can't sit here and start making legislation that is repugnant to anything or any rights. I mean, this shit is crazy. It's pretty fucking ridiculous. I mean, it is comical at this point because obviously we let that shit happen and nobody read the fucking Constitution, obviously. So the Constitution cited earlier in this treatise, Congressman Kelly is not talking about the defunct republic. Rather, he is telling us no uncertain times that the postal highway, which is used only for free delivery of mail, is an instrument of the de facto illegitimate democracy, military government, stratocracy, instituted by Lincoln. Sifting out the key issues. The postal system was not created as a money-making operation, but as a service facility where operating at a profit was not a prime consideration. Cost of postage covers transit of mail no farther than the destination post office, where postal patrons can receive their mail matter in the general delivery window. No one can be denied general delivery service, a traditionally vested common law right established by usage and custom since ancient times. Postal patrons, but not postal customers, can use general delivery indefinitely for receiving mail and need not disclose their identity, produce government issued ID. General delivery has never been the subject of legislation of the de facto illegitimate stratocracy, which came into existence with the first executive order issued by Lincoln in his capacity as commander-in-chief of the military. Maxim of law: no one is obliged to accept a benefit against his consent. And what you got to understand is that every time you're dealing with these people in general, they're assuming that you're under their contracts and that you're receiving a benefit. Okay, so at any point, affidavit of rescission. I refuse to accept your benefits. I don't qualify. So, everything is voluntary and based on your consent, whether you realize it or not. So, everybody wants to talk shit about the government and the courts and all this shit, but have you ever tried to say no? Ever tried to say fucking no to these people? No. Try that shit. So those who accept the benefit consent and do so voluntarily. Of course you do. Maxim of law. Consent makes the law. Yes, it does. Contracts make the fucking law. So delivery of mail matter is and has been since July 1st, 1863, a benefit, a mutually agreed upon consensual arrangement, and a voluntary accepted free service. Public welfare was the solitary motive behind the establishment of the free city delivery during the Civil War in 1863. These people are slick. You gotta give it to them. So public welfare was the solitary motive behind the establishment of the rural free delivery of mail in 1896, when 90% of the population lived in the country, right? So they're trying to draw people out by giving them this free benefit, and then, I would imagine a little bit of weather manipulation, and you get them all to go to the city. You know what I mean? So acceptance of free delivery of mail matter from USPS under Commander-in-Chief of the military makes one a beneficiary of public welfare and protection of the state. Anyone accepting the benefit of public welfare and the protection of the United States establishes that he or she is mentally incapable of caring for him or herself. Those who cannot care for themselves are subjects of the doctrine of the parents' patria, as discussed earlier in this essay in the section of Social Security. So, you got, I would accept nothing at face value and always do your research. Don't ever agree just, without doing your own research to entertain these people's bullshit and or receive any of their benefits. Really look into what it is that you're signing. The devil is in the details. This shit is a game of chess. Stop playing checkers with these clowns. That's what I got for you for now. Until we meet again.